Okay, this is Make Something Happen number 53, and today we're all about quick development with nodemon. Now, this is all about making your life easier. We're not doing anything which makes things magically possible we couldn't do before. This just makes things nice. What I have done is I've gone off and I've fetched Tiny Survey Release, the repository on GitHub that contains what might be the release version of our program. And if we look in the package.json file, well, this is all the dependencies, we'll find there are now 2 dependencies in the dev dependencies area, which are .env, which gives me my environment variables, and nodemon, which gives me the wonderful ability to basically have the program auto restart whenever I change the code. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's have a little look. What the instructions say to do is to go into runtime. Here we go. And then we should be able to say, okay, hang on. I have to open I can't run a JSON file. That's true. If you find the run and debug thing doesn't have what you want in it, make sure you have a program file open just to make it happy. So we'll open Tiny Survey and I'll go back to here again. And this time I get the menu I was expecting, because now I have an MJS file open, which is a JavaScript file. I don't want to hit run and debug though, because that will just run the program and debug it, which is fine. But if I change the code, I'll have to stop the program and hit run and debug again. And that's the thing I'm trying to avoid here. So I hit JavaScript debug terminal. And there's a rattling noise. There's always actually, they don't make rattling noises. They're completely silent these days. And so now I get myself a terminal, which is kind of special. This terminal is running in debug mode. Now what that means is I can put breakpoints in my program and they will be hit when the software is running. And so what I can do now is I can give commands exactly as I would any other thing. And the command I'm going to give is npm and I'm going to say use dev. And then I'm going to say npm run, I apologize. Oh dear, run dev start. And okay, what does this mean? Good question. Let's have a look at some stuff in here. Let's go and have a look in package.json. Now we know this is the file that controls everything about my application. It tells the system what dependencies there are, what libraries we're using. We're using Mongoose, Jest, Express, EGS, Cookie Parser, all this stuff, and .env and .nodemon for development. We've also got scripts which give you the entry points for various ways the thing can work. And if I use dev start, it's going to run nodemon tiny server mjs. So I'll just do that. And then this is how the 2 are keyed together. So if I do that, there'll now be another rattling noise and the program will start running. Here we go. It's now going. We've got our debug menu. We can put breakpoints in and whatnot. The debugger's attached, and in a few seconds I'll get my server ready from the debug console. If I go and have a look, and it's now running quite happily. If I go into debug console, then there you go. It's starting the thing up. It's all coming to life. And I can develop my program as per usual. And so I can, here you go. That wasn't supposed to happen. Okay. Have a look. Well, I'll have to have a look now, won't I? And we're back, and I think I fixed it. It's an interesting problem. I'm going to leave this in the presentation because I think it's something that's worth knowing about. Now, here's how it goes. We are using a development environment, which is fine, and we have got to simulate these environment variables which are going to get passed into our program and used to configure it when we place the application on the server. And the way you do this is by having a file in your application which we give the name .env. Now this file is special because it's picked up by the environment extension, which will generate, it's picked up by this chap here, .env, which is fine because the file names match up, and it contains configuration information we want to make available while we're developing the program. When we actually ship the program into the cloud, we will not send the contents of this file. And what's more, if we save a repository of this application into GitHub, the .env file again is not stored. And the reason for that is because I don't want other people to see what's in there. This is special configuration information for my machine. It might contain usernames and passwords and bits and pieces that somebody looking at it on the cloud might find interesting and useful if they want to do me harm. So I'm going to actually put these name value pairs into the .env file, which is specific to the application. I'm going to have to give one line of this because I have to type this right, capital data, and I have to tell the application the URL for my database, which is given the environment name database URL, and it's going to, and the address. We've hardwired it into programs before, but the release version does this properly, and I'm going to call it MongoDB, and then // localhost. Now we had this in our files previously, but this time we're doing it properly, and we're looking for a database called Tiny Surveys. If I get this slightly wrong, it will not work. It has to be exactly correct. But I'm looking at my original and I'm looking at this and thinking that's about right. So I will save this. If we go back and look at the error, which we can do, it's lying around here somewhere, then we find that the error was basically, it was complaining about the fact that the Mongo database open was trying to open a connection to the database, and it was failing because it couldn't find that location. The reason was that this URL hadn't been set up correctly, but now it has. So if I save that, and if I now stop the program and rerun it, so I've got to actually waiting. Okay, well, this is interesting. nodemon is now doing its job. nodemon is saying, I'm going to run the program when something changes. But unfortunately, that something changes doesn't actually apply to the to an env file. So what I will do is I'll go into here and I'll do what the talk was supposed to be all about, which is I'll make a tiny change to this. I'll actually just say create the Express application, and watch. I'll put an extra space there, so this file is now different. If I move this out of the way, you can see that the file has now changed. If I save this, Control S, then nodemon will do its job. Hopefully, it'll now restart it again, and then our program should start up and run this time. Let's see what happens. Let's have a look in the debug console. Here we go. It's crashed again. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! What's gone wrong? The URL open. It's still not found it. Okay, I'm going to have to stop everything and restart it again. I think that's the only way I can turn it off and back on again. So I'm going to have to basically go to here and go Control C, which will kill that off. Terminal. Control C. Turn it back to yes, please. So I'm going to have to reload the whole thing right from the start. So I've got my .env file that contains what I want. That's all hunky-dory. Maybe to put a return on there, I'll put that on for luck. Save that, and yeah, what you're seeing now is a man under pressure. And so what I might do actually is I'll just go back here, and now I can restart everything. So close that off, and this time it should work. And I can't think of a reason why it won't, but maybe the universe can find one for me. Let's take a look. But this is a thing which I've fallen over before, and I'm surprised it went wrong again. But this time I'm hoping it will actually do the business, because everything should line up this time. But that's, yeah, try and... Oh, no, it's gone again. Okay, fair enough. Right, I'm back. I'm going to just pause again, and I'm going to come back in a second. Well... that was rather silly of me, wasn't it? One of the things that happens when you're under pressure doing something like this and you're trying to do something is that bits of your anatomy stop working. I'm supposed to type MongoDB. What have I typed here? Well, it's not Mongo, it's Mono. Let's just fix this, shall we? I've typed MongoDB wrong. That's what's wrong. And I'm going to leave this in again for your entertainment. MongoDB. While I was typing it, I was saying how important it is you type these things correctly, and then of course I typed it in incorrectly, because that's how the world is sometimes. So let's save that, and then we have to make another change to my program here, and I'm fairly sure if I added a space there and save it, it's a different file. So what will happen now is that the thing will start running again, and it will start running. Here we go. Are we going to work again? Yes, server running. It's it is quite nice because I didn't have to stop the program and restart it to see if I'd fixed the problem. And it's running, and it seems quite happy now. Nothing has blown up. So what I can do, I talk about testing and I say, you must do this managed testing. And then I say, this thing seems okay because nothing has blown up. Let's go back and see if we can refresh the index page, shall we? Go back to here and do a reload. And we've got Rob's Pizza, and I can open it. And yes, there it is. It's the same because it's the actual release application is now talking to the database on my machine. Then it will actually have the same values in that we saw last time in the previous Make Something Happen when I made the database and I did one vote for pepperoni, which has come back. So we now have a running application which has got an environment file here which contains a correctly typed, that's an innovation, isn't it? A correctly typed version of the connection string. I've got a few more grey hairs, but that's kind of like par for the course. But say the nice thing about this is that if I'm developing the program, I can change the program, I can put breakpoints in, I can save it. The program will then restart. If you want further, we could push the envelope by doing another change and making it save. That would kind of be a thing, wouldn't it? But the idea is that it's one of the things I have found when I've been developing is I'll make a change that fixes a bug, and then the bug will not appear to be fixed, and I will tear my hair out looking for other reasons why the bug could occur. And one of the reasons why the bug doesn't occur is I'm still running the old version of the code, which is the kind of thing which this rather nice little technique using nodemon will fix for me. So I found that informative and useful. I've modified the content of the book to include the mention of the .m file, which you will see if you have a copy, and that's me happy. A little bit longer and more stressful than I was expecting, but it's all about good learning outcomes, and I'll see you in the next Make Something Happen after I've had a lie down.